ministers themselves are on Capitol Hill today, briefing House members about the Russian hacking. This as the FBI is coming under fire. Joining me now, California Congressman Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. Well, let's pick it up here. Do you think that there is anything potentially inappropriate, something that needs further explaining for all of the communications back and forth between the Russian ambassador and the incoming National Security Advisor?
Well, I think it should be fully explained what the nature of these contacts were. This has been said many times, and I think it's true. We really need to have one president at a time. And I would certainly hope that no one on the Trump team was trying to undercut what President Obama was doing when he was sanctioning Russia over their hacks and interference in our election process. Most of us, I think, on a bipartisan basis, think what the president did was not only right, but it was only a first step. And I would certainly hope that General Flynn wasn't in any way undercutting that or anybody else on the Trump team.
And we should point out, I mean, there is a never, ever enforced law called the Logan Act from 1789. My colleague Pete Williams tells me named after a farmer in 1789 who went to Paris and was accused of undercutting the official U.S. government position. And it literally says that if you are a citizen not working, not under orders of the U.S. government, you cannot interfere with a foreign government or an official of a foreign government in an issue that is disputed or contested between the United States and that government. And this Russian hacking scandal would certainly be a contested issue. But it's never been enforced. No one's ever been charged with violating the Logan Act.
Well, and I don't think you're going to see it enforced here because I think that's probably a very difficult statute to enforce, and there probably are some significant constitutional questions about how that would even be done.
Let me ask you about the IG investigating Mr. Comey, the FBI director. How unusual is this? The fact that they announced it, first of all, possibly to get it out front before the Trump administration came in, get it underway, reveal that it has been started. But an IG investigation into the FBI director and all of those late calls, though, reopening the issue, not an investigation, but reopening the very issue of the emails 11 days before the election.
I think this was very appropriate for the IG to initiate, and I say hats off to my colleague Elijah Cummings for making the request for this investigation some months ago. It now has bipartisan support. We had a very serious and I believe very consequential decision by the director of the FBI to speak publicly about an ongoing investigation and in violation of the department's longstanding policy, and do so right before the election. That ought to be the subject of a DOJ IG investigation. I think they're the right party to do it. I have every confidence they'll do it objectively, and I'm glad the director has said he will cooperate with that. I also hope that the IG investigates the numerous leaks that came out of the FBI and any contacts that the FBI may have had with either campaign. There have been a lot of allegations about that as well that I think need to be thoroughly investigated.
Also ask you about Donald Trump's tweets on the intelligence and that I guess you could call it a Russian counter-Trump possible compilation that was addended to the intelligence brief. There's been a lot of controversy over how it was put together, who put it together, why it was even briefed to him by Comey, we now learn, in the corridor. This is what he tweeted today. It now turns out that the phony allegations against me were put together by my political opponents and a failed spy afraid of being sued, totally made up facts by sleazebag political operatives, both Democrats and Republicans, fake news. Russia says nothing exists, probably released by intelligence, even knowing there is no proof and never will be. My people will have a full report on hacking within 90 days. Well, first of all, General Clapper has said that it didn't come from intelligence. Second of all, it came originally, we all know, we've been told, from Republican primary opponents. Then it was picked up by Democratic opponents. Your reaction to these tweets?
My reaction is, regrettably, you cannot rely on anything the president-elect says in his tweets, certainly not on this subject, but on many others as well. This is, after all, President-elect who tweeted that millions of illegal immigrants voted, and that's why he didn't win the popular vote. But it's all the more disturbing here because he's used Twitter to attack the intelligence community. He actually cites Russia and Julian Assange as sources of information before he cites his own intelligence community. So very disturbing. I think the American people, if they want to know what Director Clapper has told the president-elect, they should look at Director Clapper's statement. We also saw in the open report, when that was released about the Russian hacking, that the president-elect was willing to misrepresent what was in that open report, claiming that the open report found there was no impact on the election. Of course, that's what the open report said. So all of the claims by Donald Trump that this file that was produced by this private security firm is either fake news or false or whatever else he said in that tweet, people cannot rely on that. The only thing people can rely on, I think, is what Director Clapper has said, and that is it has not been verified and it has not been unverified. At this point, there's simply been no public disclosure about what we know of the accuracy of anything in that file.
Was it a mistake? This is a question I asked Joe Biden. Was it a mistake for them to even bring it up with either the president and vice president, as they did in the PDB, the Presidential Daily Brief, or to Mr. Trump in that Comey pull-aside, since it was unverified and not an intelligence document?
You know, I think the only thing the administration has disclosed in this cabinet, what I can say, is I think the vice president said that he and the president were briefed on it. And I think that is fully appropriate. These are obviously very serious charges, very serious allegations, and whether they are verified ultimately or not verified, it's something that I believe the president should be aware of, and the president-elect for that part.
Okay, Adam Schiff from the Intelligence Committee, thank you.